One of the biggest decisions you'll have to make when ordering a new Tesla in 2022 is whether or not you want to include full self-driving at the time of purchase. And I've gotten a lot of questions about this feature, and after about 2 years of ownership and being a full self-driving beta tester, I want to share my perspective with you and hopefully help you make the best decision. There's a lot to consider when buying FSD, such as should you buy it up front, upgrade later, or pay it monthly as a subscription, and it's important that you have a solid understanding of what you're paying for. So let's break this down and take a deep dive into Tesla's full self-driving. Now, word of caution, most mainstream news outlets don't have a good understanding of what Tesla's full self-driving is, and they like to run the typical alarming headlines questioning safety and love to claim that the name full self-driving itself is disingenuous. And despite all of this, Tesla is very clear up front with what full self-driving means and what's included with this software. And they warn the driver ad nauseum that they must always pay attention and take an active role in driving, even when Autopilot is turned on. But if you're watching this, you likely understand that this is a nuanced subject. It's not black and white, and it's good that you're doing research to develop a solid understanding of this system. So the first thing I want to discuss is what you get with every Tesla standard if you choose not to include full self-driving. All cars come equipped with basic Autopilot, and this software, when active, will hold you in a lane indefinitely on a highway and is a huge benefit for long-distance driving. And it will steer, brake, and accelerate based on the speed you have set and will maintain a following distance, which you can also adjust. All Tesla vehicles also come with the full self-driving computer standard, meaning that if you choose to upgrade post-purchase, there are no hardware retrofits that you'll have to worry about. And this is important, and we'll come back later on when we work through some different scenarios regarding when you should actually buy full self-driving. But now, taking a look at full self-driving, there are 4 main features that all purchasers will get. And first up is going to be Navigate on Autopilot, which will take you from highway on-ramp to off-ramp with none or very few driver interventions. Initially, this feature was fairly weak as the system was learning how to deaccelerate and merge, and I was very critical of it when I first used it back in 2020. And however, now the car is leveraging regenerative braking and is leaving the highway in a much more human-like way, and overall this feature has improved a lot since the early days when it was first released. Next up is Summon, which allows the driver to call their vehicle from its parking spot to a set location in a parking lot. And this feature is still relatively gimmicky and is far too cautious to be of any value to the driver. It also tends to confuse other people and drivers, which inevitably leads to the car freezing up and then the driver having to go and retrieve it. And I plan to test this feature more in the future to see if the FSD beta progress is enhancing the abilities of Summon. The third feature is Autopark, which will park the car in either a perpendicular or parallel parking spot. And this feature works as described, and I have no complaints using this. Last up is going to be Automatic Lane Change, which works hand in hand with Navigate on Autopilot to move around slower moving traffic on the highway. And with this feature, you can have the car automatically make the lane change or require confirmation. And I typically utilize the require confirmation setting because I've found that the car is sometimes not as courteous to other drivers as I would like it to be when passing slower traffic. And one bonus feature that Tesla does not directly call out on their website is traffic light and stop sign control. And this feature allows the cars to read and recognize traffic lights and will automatically drive through an intersection if there is a leading car or if the driver directs the car to do so by pressing either on the accelerator or the gear stalk. The car will also recognize and stop at stop signs with this feature. So that covers the core features of full self-driving, and a little over a year ago, I did publish another video critical of this suite, and my basic conclusion was that for the average user, it's not worth paying the then $10,000 for these features alone. And the benefits of standard Autopilot was far greater, in my opinion, than the inconveniences and added costs of what you'd be getting with FSD. And however, things have definitely changed, and I do want to touch briefly on the FSD beta. Now, anyone who buys FSD outright or has a subscription is given the option to request access to the full self-driving beta. Once you do this, Tesla monitors your driving behavior for a few weeks, and if you qualify with a certain safety score, you are then granted access. You will then receive an over-the-air update and have the beta loaded into your car. And for me personally, this was a game changer and something that finally justified my purchase of FSD when I'd ordered my Tesla back in 2019. And if you want to experience the absolute bleeding edge of autonomous progress, this is it. And being able to watch the car make 120-degree turns, navigate through complex city streets, and take me from home to work with no interventions whatsoever is really incredible. And I don't want to get too carried away on FSD beta, but for me, this is what changed my mind about full self-driving. And it was a flashbulb moment the first time my car took me to work on its own. And it's something that really expands the possibilities of what driving is going to be in the future. But it's important to remember that not everyone who buys FSD will get beta access. It first has to be available in your country, and you have to maintain a high safety score. With all that said, you should have a pretty good idea of what you're buying when you purchase FSD. So now I want to go over a few different scenarios that you might find yourself in and why you may or may not want to purchase FSD. First up is the technology enthusiast, and if you're someone that's interested in FSD beta and it's available in your country, you are definitely going to want to buy full self-driving. The main consideration will then be if you're going to buy FSD up front or utilize the subscription. And as it stands right now, if you opt for a subscription, you'll end up paying $200 per month for FSD. At 5 years, you'll have ended up paying the $12,000. So if you plan to keep your car long term, it may be wise to pay up front. The cost of FSD is also pretty likely to increase, as just last year it was $10,000, and when I bought it in 2019, it was $7,000. The system does continue to improve, and it's important that you understand that by buying FSD, you are furthering that progress. And there will be times when you have to take over and when using the system might not go as smoothly as you would hope. But for the person that is willing to work with it and experience the progress, you'll not regret buying FSD. Next up is a first-time Tesla buyer, and in almost all cases, I would say do not buy FSD up front. The transition to an EV requires some logistics to set up home charging, and getting used to one-pedal driving may also be challenging for some people. The basic Autopilot included with all Teslas is going to be very impressive and useful to anyone who is new to autonomous driving. And if you're financing your purchase, I also would not recommend including FSD. And this is not financial advice, as everyone's situation is going to be different, but I personally could not justify financing and paying interest on software. I'd rather allocate my spending towards tangible hardware, such as a larger battery pack for longer range. And once you get comfortable with your car, you can then buy FSD outright or pay for the monthly subscription. For someone new to Tesla, I would lean towards a subscription so you can try it out for a month or two and then cancel if the system is not for you. And it's hopefully clear that the FSD beta is the main reason that my opinions toward FSD have grown more positive. And if you want to see that zero intervention drive I was talking about earlier, go ahead and check this video out. And there's a lot to consider when buying a new Tesla, so I hope this video provided some context and clarity in terms of what's included and potentially available with a full self-driving purchase. If you have any questions or want some advice on your specific buying scenario, leave me a comment down below, and I hope you found this video useful. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.